Raila's direction politically in Kenya from when Daniel Moi was still there. It was Raila who actually was the main impetus towards the election of Mwai Kibaki by saying Kibaki Tosha in 2002. 30 years later, Raila Odinga must be feeling that he has carried the burden for this country for too long. Are we wrong in still insisting on depending on him for political direction going forward, even with the kind of conflicting statements that he's now giving us?
Those who have worked with Raila closely, they know him. Those who have been in the struggle with him before, they know him. So even when you are running, he's your candidate for president, you know the person you're dealing with. We don't need to explain all that history because you saw it happening in your own eyes. You saw him doing the decisions he made. And I mean, they saw him do all this stuff before. So I don't know what is the issue with those who are crying. It's like telling someone, you must stay in this house, and I don't want to stay in the house. You know, if I feel that the other side of the coin is going to better serve my interests, or the interests of my followers, or whatever interest I want, I'm in a position to make my own decision. Why is it that you're making me do what you... Why can't you yourself be the leaders of the opposition? Or why don't you want to go and march in the streets and all that? Why is it that it has to be Raila? I mean, it's also not fair. But if you accept that he is the leader, then you accept the full package, that sometimes he will make a decision that is against you. But I want to say this in the defense of Honorable Raila. If you read the book by Nelson Mandela, the autobiography, not biography, but the one he wrote himself, he said, during the negotiations for independence now, the new South Africa, he had to go alone to go and meet Peter Botha, the then Prime Minister. He had to go alone to make very critical decisions against the guys whom they were jailed together in Robben Island. And there's a point he made in that book, and you should read it if you are a student of politics, that sometimes a leader needs to be able to take a decision that is good for the greater good, but may not serve the immediate interests of the comrades with whom he is in the trenches with. And I think the Right Honorable former Prime Minister has done that on several occasions. Because Mandela explains that when the message came to me that I must go and meet what were then my enemies, quote unquote, I knew that if I shared this with colleagues like Walter Sisulu and the other colleagues whom were in Robben Island together, it would have been impossible for me to move and have a meeting. But I knew that I had greater responsibility for our nation. And so I went and made the decisions. And indeed, some of the people were very unhappy. Some of the people did not like the fact that Mandela agreed to serve in an interim government as a deputy president under Peter Botha for 2 years. They didn't like that. And when Mandela got elected, now in the new free democratic South Africa, some of them were shocked that Mandela retained the very secretary of the former president as a white woman, who was something unthinkable. You know, that you go and, we are supposed to be, it's supposed to be black South Africa now, but he was ahead of his time. So sometimes as a leader, you have to make a decision that is not necessarily pleasing to the comrades who are with you, but for the greater good, it serves your nation or the greater causes. And I've given an example of Mandela, but even our own nation, when Jomo Kenyatta was making some of those agreements, you know that our history tells us people like Bildad Kagia were very much against the idea that the British government was to give us money as a loan to pay for the land the colonialists had taken from us, to compensate the British nationals so that they can live. Some people thought, what is this? We have fought for this land. We have this. But Kenyatta had to step aside from his own colleagues to make that decision. Now, some of them still were very bitter against him, even after independence. Some of the Mau Mau people remained in the forest, said the struggle is not over. Now, when you translocate that whole idea of stepping aside from your own comrade cycle, you would see Raila is in that category. When he went ahead and said, Kibaki Tosha, it was against what other people were calling a big betrayal, because they had some agreement with Akina Nyachaya and so on. But he went from this meeting and went and announced, and Kenya got a new dispensation. You see, so sometimes it is you know, your shoulders carry, you know, God chooses you to carry the epoch of history on your shoulders. Not that you are any special, but because maybe it is upon you.
And hence the question, are we depending too much on Raila?